thought I'd go with a topic-related t-shirt for this one. Right, so I've literally just this minute finished watching the second episode of Alien Earth, so I'm going in completely raw here. I've not written anything down. I'm not reading from AI cheat sheets or anything like that, so I just wanted to quickly just get my thoughts down before I forgot about them because I'm going on holiday tomorrow. So, where do you start with this? To begin with, I kind of had like a bit of a mixed reaction to the opening of the first episode. It opens very similarly to how the original film opens, with the slow transition cuts. Obviously, it's a similar set because it's the same type of ship. And I just thought, why do they keep doing this? Why do they keep redoing the things that we have seen before? I mean, it will never beat the original film. Why does it have to build the exact same type of atmosphere with the same type of transition edits? I'm just a little bit fed up with nostalgia bait. But as soon as you get past that and you actually really start to get into the episode, it started to grab my attention a little bit more. Establishing the different kind of like androids or robots or synthetics or whatever you want to call them, and categorizing them in three types. So you've got your out-and-out robots, just programmed to be fairly human-ish, kind of like what Ash was, or even Bishop. And then you've got your augmented humans who have got robotic parts on their bodies to enhance them. And then the final one, which is where the story almost centers on, is an android with human consciousness. So the consciousness is taken out of a dying human and put into the brain of an android. I thought, yeah, okay, we're exploring something a little bit different here. And this is what I wanted from this series. I wanted something a little more different. Now, my biggest problem with the prequel films to Alien and Aliens, etc., is that I don't really want to see the origins of the Xenomorph. I don't want to see where these creatures came from. I think when you cast light onto something like this, it diminishes the threat. And that's exactly what Prometheus and Alien Covenant did. And I mentioned that in previous videos. But the benefit here is that they're not really touching on any of that. There's the theme of everlasting life, like what we had with Prometheus, and to an extent Alien Covenant, which is fine. I think that is a good concept to run with, but they're kind of going in a different direction with this. And one of my earliest thoughts when I saw the trailer was the main character, played by Sydney, need to do research, played by Sydney Chandler, was, oh, here we go again, we've got another Ripley clone. Because every single female lead in the Alien films going forward from Prometheus and onwards has to be a bit of a clone of Ripley, especially in Alien Covenant and in Alien Romulus. It's just a little nitpick. But the character really surprised me. It's an adult android with a child's personality, because obviously it was a child's consciousness transferred into an android. And then there's 4 or 5 more. I didn't really count, to be honest. These characters are the main hook. I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing where they go with this. But the one thing that I really enjoyed about those first 2 episodes, the second episode in particular, was it really showed the threat of the Xenomorph. I felt like the Xenomorph threat has been diminished with subsequent films because, quite frankly, we've seen it all. We know what they can do, and it's kind of old hat by this point. But we actually saw how this Xenomorph uses its body more, uses its tail, uses the inner mouth, it moves quickly, it's agile, and yeah, it's frightening again. My personal thoughts is that the Xenomorph hasn't looked scary since the original 1979 film, and that includes Aliens, because there were so many of them in Aliens, they had to just kill them off quite quickly with their weaponry. It diminishes that threat. I suppose with Aliens, the big bad is the Queen. But here, we've got one Xenomorph on the hunt, and it is brutal, but at the same time, kind of glorious. It just runs through groups of Marines and a group of people dressed up for a Renaissance party, which I thought was really weird, but quite funny. At the same time, yeah, pretty disturbing how it just goes through them. The sound design kind of helps with that. When this Xenomorph is actually cutting through all of these people, you don't quite see it. It's off to the side. It's in the background. You don't get the full view of it. And I've always said that what you don't see is more frightening. And the sound design plays a big part of that. I think one of the most frightening and disturbing sound effects that I've ever heard in a film is from Alien. In the scene where the Xenomorph kills Parker and then kills Lambert, and it's the noise that Lambert makes whilst Ripley is running down the corridor. You don't see the Xenomorph kill her, you hear it, and your mind kind of automatically goes to, what the hell is this thing doing to her? And you kind of get that in Alien Earth in the second episode. And I feel that the lighting, the darkness of the corridors and the setting really helps to to kind of elevate that. And the other thing I really liked about this was that this ship is coming back from wherever, and it's picked up all these different kinds of life forms. And each one has its own kind of threat. I mean, you see that kind of running eyeball thing that just goes into the cat's head and then takes over its body. And then it jumps out of the cat and it's trying to attack one of the androids. How horrible is that? And then you've got that kind of thing that's hanging from the ceiling and it's like a plant or something. And it looks disturbing. It looks, ugh. And it just goes to show that it is a wider universe with many different threats. And I felt that this was a little bit of a callback to Aliens. There's a short line at the start of the film when all of the Marines are lined up for their briefing. And I think it's Hudson who says,
"It's going to be a stand-up fight, sir, or another bug hunt."
And I guess that ties into the fact that it is known that there are alien life forms out there that are a threat, but they've never come across anything quite like the Xenomorph. I am a little bit skeptical to see how this ties in with the first Alien film. It is obvious when you go back and watch the original film that the Xenomorphs are a known creature. There was a reason why the Nostromo was sent to go and retrieve one. I'm almost hoping that what this series does is completely retcon Prometheus and Alien Covenant, because we don't need a backstory to this. I feel that the stronger backstory is how the human race came into contact with the Xenomorphs in the first place, but knowing where they came from and knowing more about what they actually are, I think again it kind of sheds too much light on something that should stay in the dark. The visual effects are proper quality. This looked really good. And the music, yeah, you can hear cues from the original film. And you can also hear musical cues from Aliens, from James Horner's score. With something like this, with it being a prequel, and I know Sean is not a fan of prequels, and I tend to agree with him here, is that where do you go with it? You know what the resolution's going to be. You know where the story goes. But what I feel that Alien Earth can do is it can just take this off on a different thread. It doesn't have to necessarily tie in with the Ripley story. It doesn't necessarily have to tie in with Alien Romulus. It can be its own thing, but not kind of step on any of the canon that we're already familiar with. So yeah, I'm actually really intrigued to see what happens in episode 3, thinking that it's got off to a good start here. But some of the story threads being played with here, like I said, with the eternal life gimmick, if you will, I think that is being kind of done in a very intriguing way. Another point I wanted to quickly make was Timothy Oliphant's character of Kirsch. He looks like Roy Batty from Blade Runner. Correct me if I'm wrong here, so please put something in the comments either way, but I believe that Alien and Blade Runner may be in a shared universe. And if you know anything more about this, then please let me know, because I honestly can't be asked doing any further research on this. Did we really need an Alien series, especially if it's set before the events of Alien? On the basis of those first 2 episodes, yeah, I think it's pretty good. At the moment, I'm hooked. I want to see what happens in the next episode. But what are your thoughts? What did you think of the first 2 episodes of Alien Earth? Are you looking forward to the next episode? Were you disappointed in any way? By all means, just let us know in the comments. So yeah, this has been a really quick brain dump of my thoughts of Alien Earth, and I am going to carry on watching this, meaning that I'm probably going to make more videos about it. I've been Colm from the Critical Cinema Club. Take care.